So we're jumping into Jarnail Singh's evidence to the Post Office Rise 90 inquiry for the final time in Phase 4, where he's being shown the stay for abuse of process that the defence team of Seema Misra have laid before the court in the prosecution case brought by the Post Office, specifically highlighting the contradictory statements made in Gareth Jenkins' statement regarding the need to request audit data, which they feel they've already been assured has been requested. What views can Jarnail Singh offer us on this? We'll find out as we jump into the inquiry.
Can we turn, please, to poll 309-3946? This is an application. It's dated the 24th of February, if we go to the last page, please. Thank you. 24th of February, 2010, settled by Keith Hadrill of Furnival Chambers. If we go back to page 1, please. It's an application to stay the indictment against Mrs. Misra, or count 1 of the indictment, on the grounds of abuse of process.
Yes.
And if we just scroll through it so you get some context, look at paragraph 2, which tells us the background.
Yes. Yes.
Paragraph 3, which tells us what the case is.
Yes.
If we move on to paragraph 4, please. And then 4, 5, and 6 tell us about the back history. Just stopping there, Mr. Hadrill says the case was called on for trial in May 2009, stood out because of concerns over the reliability of the Horizon computer system. Time was given for this area of evidence to be explored. New solicitors were instructed by the defence. And then at 5, case was relisted for a pre-trial review and directions on the 14th of July 2009, and directions were given which included the Service of Experts report. That's where I got the reference to before lunch, to the autumn of 2009. Direction having been given for the Service of Experts reports. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you know that direction had been given for the Service of Experts reports?
Well,
as early as 2009?
I don't recall. I mean, I don't. I mean, I don't recall now in that much detail. You're asking me to remember going back.
Okay, paragraph 6. The prosecution, by letter dated the 14th of August 2009, said it would instruct Fujitsu, the supplier and operator of the Horizon computer, to assist as experts. In that letter, the prosecution stated the request for data had been submitted to Fujitsu and acknowledged over the page. So I think we've just missed a bit out at the bottom of the last page but 1. We just scroll down. And acknowledged. The prosecution had stated, if we just scroll back up, that the request for data had been submitted to Fujitsu and acknowledged. And then to paragraph 7, please. This is in total contradiction to the statement received from Gareth Jenkins of Fujitsu, who states that no requests have been made for any data relating to the West Byfield branch. That was the issue we were looking at earlier, as to the defence requesting disclosure of the underlying transaction data as early as 2009, and by February 2010 it still hadn't been obtained. 7 we can skip over, 8 we can skip over. 9, a view of the Post Office machinery and method of working at West Byfleet was undertaken by counsel and solicitors on the 6th of November. Professor McLachlan permitted to view the same on the 17th of November 09. 10, at the hearing on the 20th of November 2009, the prosecution requested the defence help by producing more detailed requests for disclosure. That was done and served on the 30th of November 2009. Despite this, no responses were forthcoming until after the defence listed the matter for mention. Then over the page, the hearing on the 1st of February, the defence were ordered to notify the prosecution of those matters it regarded as still outstanding. Prosecution had failed until the 1st of February 2010 to instruct an expert. At the court hearing on the 1st of February, the prosecution stated it identified their expert, Gareth Jenkins from Fujitsu, but not instructed him yet. Court confirmed that the prosecution expert should report by the 8th of February 2010. Short statement was served from Mr. Jenkins. In that report, Mr. Jenkins generally could not assist because he'd not been given sufficient material and documentation. He'd only just been instructed to assist and would need time. Some of the questions raised by Professor McLachlan he didn't understand. some of the information requested from Fujitsu should come from the Post Office. And then the defence say this: it's apparent that the prosecution has given no clear instructions to its own expert or provided him with adequate material to assist the court. You would agree on reflection that that's true, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I don't quite... the dates... I didn't realise that Mr. Jenkins had been identified that early. I don't recall any of that.
Well, I guess one of the things would be, did you ever give them those instructions? That would be a first question, because even if the dates are a bit confusing, did you ever instruct him as an expert witness? If not, you answer your own question without needing consideration for the dates.
Did you give him clear instructions to Mr. Jenkins?
I think I don't know. I don't recall.
Had you provided him with adequate material to assist the court?
I don't recall. I mean, I think, as I've been saying, is that he was there basically to help or assist the prosecution and the defence to understand the system, because I'm not a technical person. I don't know the basics, let alone the actual technology involved here. So, and that's one of the reasons why I was very uncomfortable dealing with it myself. That's why I had the barrister alongside me on one side and the head of criminal law team on the other.
Thank you,
yes,
Mr. Singh.
My case.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Sorry. That's one of the reasons, because it's complicated. It's very, very difficult to be able to do it. So I don't recall it to that much detail. I don't recognise the dates. I don't recall the dates. I thought it was everything more or less started around about February time. But as to when Gareth Jenkins was identified, I don't recall now that it was that early. My conversation with, Mr. Jones. Now that you mentioned it, and I think the other difficulty is the time period. A lot of the information you're coming up with, you're obviously, this is the sort of area of law you deal with, the inquiry side. This is the first experience of it. I do not recall most of the stuff that is coming up at all. And I thought, certainly not the dates, I don't recall. I think more or less everything was happening really, really quickly in February. I didn't realise that going back in time, 6 months, I don't recall most of what's here. And I think most of it, because it's a specialist area, the law and everything else that involved, I had the barrister more or less looking at it in minute detail. I mean, I was relying on the barrister, more or less. And I think we were working alongside. He was saying, well, I would, more or less, as you know, I can say generally that that's how we worked on it. But I do not recall most of what's here, the dates.
All right, thank you. That can come down. So that's an appropriate moment to break.
Right.
We would be continuing with a chronological progression through the instruction of Mr. Jenkins and the compilation of his witness statements, the revelation of material to the defence, the discovery of a bug, and whether that material was revealed or concealed from the court and the defence. So I've got another 37 pages of notes to get through.
Right. I think I think we'll break there, and obviously in scheduling Mr. Singh hereafter, we will need to take account of a time estimate for what remains as well as what is to come.
Yes, so I think it would be appropriate to release Mr. Singh from the obligation that he would otherwise be under not to speak about the evidence he's to give when he returns, because we're going to be asking him for a further witness statement on phase 5 and 6 issues, and he'll plainly need to speak to his solicitor about those.
Well, that's the practice which I've adopted in relation to those witnesses who have given evidence but who are returning, is it not?
It is, sir.
Yeah. So, Mr. Singh, we're going to stop this afternoon now. As you will have gathered, it will be necessary for you to return to give further evidence. I can't, I'm sorry, tell you precisely when that will be, but it will be done, the scheduling of your evidence will be done in liaison with you and your solicitors. You are now entitled to speak to your solicitors about your evidence and any further requests for evidence. So I will see you again sometime in the new year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.